Thank you for plugging into this Family Life News podcast, streaming issues-driven, family-focused news.
This is Faith Under Fire. Each Thursday on Family Life, we give voice to religious battlegrounds in this nation. I'm your host, Tracy Lynn. With us today, Jonathan Scruggs, Senior Counsel with Alliance Defending Freedom. Cake baker Jack Phillips back in court again, this time for fighting a ruling over a gender transition cake. Jonathan, would you give us some of the details?
Sure. Many of your listeners are probably familiar with Jack Phillips. He's a cake designer around the Denver area, and he went to the U.S. Supreme Court once already because he declined to create a wedding cake celebrating a same-sex wedding, and he was punished for that by the state of Colorado. But while that case was ongoing, a lawyer activist called up Jack Phillips and asked him to create a blue and pink cake to celebrate the attorney's gender transition. And even a few months later, the attorney asked Jack to create a cake depicting Satan smoking marijuana. So this attorney has been actively harassing Jack, trying to get Jack to say things that violate his core beliefs. Eventually, that led to this attorney filing a lawsuit against Jack Phillips, and we litigated that case at the lower court. We lost a trial on that issue and then appealed to the Colorado Court of Appeals. And so recently we had oral arguments at the Colorado Court of Appeals to really determine, can these laws that are at stake in Jack's first case and then here in his next case, can they be forced to compel someone to speak messages that violate their core beliefs?
Yeah. A few years ago, I think 2018, Jack, he had a partial victory at the Supreme Court. Is that correct?
That's right. We represented Jack in that case and went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. The state of Colorado, as I mentioned, tried to punish him in that situation, and we won. And because Colorado's officials were so hostile toward religious beliefs, they said very offensive things about Jack's beliefs, and they were inconsistent in how they were treating Jack as compared to other cake designers. Because that was so blatant, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled on those grounds. But they didn't rule on some of the core free speech issues that are now at stake in Jack's current case and in another case that we have at the U.S. Supreme Court involving a website designer.
So would you tell us again, with the current case about the gender transition cake, who is hearing the case this week?
So the case was heard before the Colorado State Court of Appeals, before 3 judges, and we had oral argument in that. This is the same court that ruled against Jack the first time around, but we feel like we have very strong arguments, and it's a common sense argument, right, that Jack serves everybody. He serves people in the LGBT community and those outside of it. He just can't convey messages that violate his core beliefs, whether it be messages about Halloween. He doesn't create cakes trying to demean other people. We can't be forced to create a cake celebrating a gender transition either. So that's the basic argument we've made since day one, and it's one that the First Amendment protects and we're confident will win.
Great. So the focus is free speech, not necessarily religious freedom.
Well, we have strong free speech arguments. We also have free exercise or religious freedom arguments that these laws that are being used to punish Jack, it's really a kind of a seek and destroy mission against people of faith, and they can't be used for that. That's what the free exercise of the First Amendment protects. So we definitely have both arguments at stake, but our lead argument is the free speech argument.
Jack has been through so much since drawing a line and standing up for his biblical convictions. Is there anything you'd like us to know about this case or how we can help?
I think just be praying for Jack. I mean, as you noted, both he and his family have been so much. They've received death threats. They've gone through trials and numerous litigation. They've been in litigation for 10 years, pretty much. And all Jack wants to do is just live out his faith in his business and nothing more. He's happy to serve people of different backgrounds, of different beliefs. He just can't violate his own core convictions. And it should be something that concerns every American, right? When laws out there exist that are targeting people of faith, that are targeting particular viewpoints and seeking to exclude them from the public square, that's a dangerous thing. So definitely just keep Jack and his family in your prayers.
Yeah. Where can we learn more about this latest case, Jonathan?
I would go to ADF's website, which is adflegal.org, and you can learn about Jack and similar cases that we are litigating across the country and even at the U.S. Supreme Court.
Great. Is there anything you feel like we missed?
One final thing is just to note that really Jack is standing up not just for his freedom and not just for the freedom of his children, but for the freedom of all Americans, right? Because we shouldn't be forcing LGBT cake designers and LGBT artists to say anything that violate their core beliefs either. But the First Amendment should go both ways. Tolerance is a two-way street. And if we extend these freedom of speech and freedom of religion protections to others, then they should protect Jack and people like him as well. So Jack really is a great hero for standing up for really all Americans' right to say what they believe and to live out their faith.
That's ADF's Jonathan Scruggs. I'm Tracy Lynn, Family Life News.